Christoph here, and welcome back to another lesson video. Today, I will be going over the 5-1 work together. So let's jump right into the video. Before, I'm going to be going over the 5-1 work together. In the last video, I read over the 5-1 text. If you did miss that video for any reason, please click the link in the description. But anyway, today I will be going over the 5-1 work together, where we will be endorsing and writing checks. So the instructions say, write the answers to the following problems in the working papers. Your instructor will guide you through the following examples. You are authorized to sign checks for Balsam Lake Accounting. Number 1. For each of these situations, prepare the appropriate endorsement. Letter A, write a blank endorsement. Letter B, write a special endorsement to transfer a check to Kelsey Sather. And for letter C, write a restrictive endorsement to deposit a check in the account of Balsam Lake Accounting. Number 2, record the balance brought forward on check stub number 78, $1,805.75. Number 3, record a deposit of $489 made on October 30th of the current year on check stub number 78. And for number 4, prepare check stubs and write the following checks. Use October 30th of the current year as the date. Letter A, check number 78 to Corner Garage for repairs, $162. And for letter B, check number 79 to St. Croix Supply for supplies, $92. Alright, so now that I've read over the instructions, let's jump right into the 5-1 work together. Alrighty, so now we're going to be moving on to the 5-1 work together, in which we will be endorsing and writing checks. And we're going to start with number 1. So for number 1A, this one asked us to write a blank endorsement. So when we write a blank endorsement, all we do is just sign our name. So I am going to sign my name right here. Okay, so that was letter A. For letter B, this one asked us to write a special endorsement to transfer a check to Kelsey Sather. So for this endorsement, we are going to write paid to the order of Kelsey Sather, and then we're going to sign our name. Okay, so that was letter B. And for letter C, this one asked us to write a restrictive endorsement to deposit a check in the account of Balsam Lake Accounting. So for this endorsement, we are going to write for deposit only to the account of Balsam Lake Accounting. And then we're going to sign our name. Okay, so that was letter C, and it's also the end of part 1. Now we're going to be moving on to part 2. So now we're going to be moving on to part 2. So number 2 asked us to record the balance brought forward on check stub number 78, $1,805.75. Alright, so what we are going to do here is put in the amount where it says balance brought forward. And the amount is $1,805.75. Okay, so that was part 2. Now we're going to be moving on to part 3. So now we're going to be moving on to part 3. So number 3 asked us to record a deposit of $489 made on October 30th of the current year on check stub number 78. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is put in the date, which is October 30th. So we're going to put in 10, and then 30, and then the current year, which is 2021. Next, we are going to record the deposit where it says amount deposited. And the amount deposited was $489. Okay, so now we had a previous balance brought forward of $1,805.75. Well, we deposited $489. So we are going to add these two numbers in order to figure out the subtotal. So if we take $1,805.75 and add $489, that will give us our new subtotal of $2,294.75. Okay, so that was part 3. Now we're going to be moving on to part 4. So the first thing that we're going to do here is put in the amount for check stub number 78, $162. Next, we are going to put in the date, which is October 30th. This is of the current year. This is to Corner Garage, and it's for repairs. Next, we are going to bring down the subtotal amount since we had nothing for other. So the subtotal amount is still $2,294.75. Well, we wrote a check that was $162. So to figure out the balance carried forward, we are going to subtract these two numbers in order to figure out the balance carried forward. So if we take $2,294.75 and subtract it from $162, that will give us our balance carried forward of $2,132.75. Before we fill out the check over here, we are going to bring that number down to the balance brought forward on the next check stub. Okay, now we are ready to fill out the check. So first, we are going to put in the date, which is October 30th. This is of the current year. This is being paid to Corner Garage. The amount is $162. Then we are going to write the amount in words. And then we put and no /100, and then we draw a line. This is for repairs. And then the last thing we do here is sign our name. All right, so that was the first check and check stub. Now we're going to be moving on to the second check and check stub. So now we're going to be moving on to letter B, which is check number 79 to St. Croix Supply for supplies, and the amount is $92. So again, before we fill out the check, we are going to fill out the check stub first. So the first thing that we're going to do is put in the amount, which is $92. The date is still October 30th of the current year. This is to St. Croix Supply. And it's for supplies. Okay, so now, since there was no amount that was deposited, we can just bring this number down to the subtotal. And we can bring this amount down again since we had nothing for other. Now, we wrote a check that was $92. So again, in order to figure out the balance carried forward, we are going to subtract the subtotal from the amount of the check. So if we take $2,132.75 and subtract the amount of the check, which was $92, that will give us our balance carried forward of $2,040.75. Okay, so now that we've filled this part out, we are now ready to fill out the check. And before we fill out the check, I just wanted to say that the balance carried forward would be brought to the next check stub. So now we are ready to fill out the check. So the date is still October 30th of the current year. This is being paid to St. Croix Supply. The amount is $92. Then we are going to write this amount in words. And then we are going to draw a line. This is for supplies. And the last thing that we do here is sign our name. Okay, so that was the second check and check stub, and it's also the end of the 5-1 work together. So in the next video, I will be going over the 5-2 text. All right, thank you.